Welcome back to Let Your Geek Flag Fly. We're your torchbearers, Kyle.
I'm sorry,
and
dude,
Jose.
stop. I can't. Dude,
Look, man,
look.
look.
1-800 Let Your Geek Flag Fly. I mean, what is this, man?
Yeah, baby. Let that flag fly. No. Welcome back. So we changing up a few looks here, but with that being said, Kyle, what do you see in this table that you've come into the HQ today? What do you see? What's the common thread that you see here? And don't say that I spend too much money on toys because we know that. But what's the other common thread?
Well, don't ask me if you're going to tell me what I can't say. I was going to say I see a lot of toys that you've obviously.
No, look. Not toys. Collectibles.
Collectibles.
Okay. Collectibles. That might be a Playmobil DeLorean, yes, but that is also one of the best replicas of the DeLorean I've seen.
Is it Playmobil or is it Lego?
No, it's Playmobil. Playmobil, yeah.
I mean, I only use the hands like this.
Look, it even included a little Einstein and a box of plutonium.
Oh, well,
okay. Look,
dude,
look,
that's
man.
Winning right there. I'm not mad at that. That's fantastic.
The stand is 3D printed. Thank you, my son Jaden. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, he did a good job on that.
Yes, he did.
Much credit to him. Well done. So, back to the question at hand. What do I see? What I see is a bunch of pop culture icons from my favorite decade, the 1980s.
The 80s, the decade of decadence and awesomeness all at the same time. But let's just take a quick look. As if you couldn't tell what it is, we're still going to go give you a little roll call. So starting to my far right over there, and obviously Master Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda.
As seen and seen, because that's where I'm going to get corrected by the people that want to call things out. Yoda is there because Yoda was not chronologically, but actuality introduced in Empire Strikes Back, which was a 1980 film. It was released in 1980.
Yes.
So that is why we have Yoda and no X-Wings. Okay. So we're not going there. Let's just get that straight. So we have that. Then we have the ultimate revival show of all revival shows that ever was done and successful, Star Trek: The Next Generation, which brought Star Trek to a new gen.
All, but it was definitely the first to really kind of jump in and do that.
Yeah,
there've been a couple others that have done
there've been
some
others,
of the same things, but that was the first one that really kind of revived an old television show and brought it back to prominence.
But that was a trendsetter for doing
absolutely, and Lord knows it definitely set off the spawned so many other sequel series for that whole fan base and that entire
expanding pardon the pun the universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have the NCC 1701D. Yes, I know that by heart. Then, as we've already talked about,
are you trying to tell us something there? You big Star Trek fan?
It's all right.
Just a little bit.
You guys don't see on camera here. Behind the camera, there's actually an entire shelf full of Enterprises and other Star Trek ships from different shows, variant shows, refit. Like the
movies
Alpha
and everything else under the sun. Yes,
even the online games.
It's okay. Hey, so it's okay, man. You're a Trekkie. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Oh well, according to the fanboys, it's now called Trekkers. I'm joking. I'm a Trekkie all day long. Then obviously the DeLorean made popular in Back to the Future. And yes, someone's going to say, well, hold on. The flying DeLorean never had the hook. Well, here's the thing. For the first two movies, both released in the 80s, with the second one coming out in 1989. So to pay homage to both, we don't have Mr. Fusion on. We have the hook, but we have it in flying mode with Doc flying it. So
of course you do both. Because why not?
Exactly. Because I can.
All right. Hold on. Before you go to the next one, I'm going to come to the very front of the table here.
Oh, yes.
What is this nice piece of weaponry that we see standing up here? Tell us about that one.
I know you know better, but
I know, but this isn't just for me.
This beautiful piece of weaponry was brought onto the big screen as the weapon of choice for one of the ultimate, in my opinion, granted, epic fantasy films of that era. To the point that even by today's standards, I would still say it still has its epicness, wielded by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger, Conan the Barbarian's Atlantean sword.
That's a beautiful piece right there.
It is. Now, here's the thing. This is a LARPing sword. It's a LARPing version, which for those who don't know what LARPing is, which if you're watching the channel, like you wouldn't know that, live action role play.
But you may not.
And this is true. So we're going to say.
There's enough people that won't.
And basically it's a rubber sword. It's a rubber, but very detailed and painted sword. Now, that one's here because it's safe. I do have an actual true replica, which weighs the original sword is fabled to weigh 75 pounds. You know, obviously we don't know for sure. But like I said, it was not a light sword. The replica I have is a pretty close replica, but its weight is at about 55 to 60 pounds. And let me tell you something. I can wield it one-handed for a certain amount of time, measured in seconds to maybe a minute.
Before nanoseconds.
I mean, yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those, in those movies, if you've seen them, the Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, you know, you see Arnold doing a lot of the wielding. You know, he's doing the, you know, back and forth. He's doing a lot of single-handed wielding. And I'm telling you right now, I mean, yeah, we already knew the man is strong. He's, you know, Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe. But oh my God, I mean, just holding that for one-handed, to be able to do it and twirl it the way he did, yeah, that's, you just get a whole new appreciation for how strong that man is.
I bet.
But yes, I mean, because I found that, and I had to have it. You know, one, like I said, because my real one, all my kids always want to look at it, and it's like, look, no, I can't have that displayed, whatnot. And it's one of those. If I ever wanted to take it somewhere for cosplay, the real one is not. That is a piece to be display piece, exactly.
Yeah, it's not something you want to carry around.
But this is perfect for cosplay because it's obviously not real, but it looks great, and it's lightweight. You can actually do all the, you know, crime.
You got to look cool while you wield it. I got
exactly.
you.
Oh, definitely, yes. But
show
no,
off your swordman. I can't even speak right.
In my mind, my swordsmanship in my mind.
That's the word I was looking for.
Of course, then I find myself like doing stuff that would be done with lightsabers instead of a broadsword like that. So I was kind of like,
of course you would.
I start mixing my fantasy.
Well, hey, we're children of the 80s. It works.
But dude,
so let's.
There's a thought. Schwarzenegger is a Sith or Jedi. Ooh, I mean, remember?
I think we missed the boat on that one.
Hold on. James Earl Jones is in Conan.
Yes, he was.
Okay, with that,
you just tied it together.
Yes, I did. And
you know what the problem is? He just retired too.
I know. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, but this has probably already been out there in the YouTube verses. They're preserving the beautiful visage of his voice as the Vader.
He signed over the rights to the voice and they're doing Lucasfilm and was it Speecher or something like that? I can't remember what it is, but yeah, something like that.
But they're actually documenting, awesome. Like he's actually doing a recording where AI could actually pretty much have a database of every single word and with every single enunciation, inflection, whatever you want to call it, where if they are ever going to use Darth Vader, they will always be his voice. Now, here's the other cool thing too. You know, we all know he's voiced Vader in every single cinematic release of the film.
Right.
As far as video games, I think there's been some that was him, some that weren't. But now, going forward,
all of them are going to be him now. There's no reason, except no substitute. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. When you absolutely positively got to take out every Jedi in the room, except no substitute.
You got to use Vader's saber, man.
Hey.
As we referenced last episode, Youngling Killer 9000.
True.
All right. So
very true.
We just talked about the sword on the table. Let's move to the centerpiece here.
Now,
and I know this is one of your favorite things here.
Look, first of all, you know, you have so this is okay. There's several tropes with this one. Okay. There's several themes that this one touches.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
So yes, it is an 80s feature. Yes. So that's first and foremost. But it is also a sci-fi horror feature.
You don't say.
Oh, just a little bit. And then, and this will be its own episode either on this channel or our Destination Horror channel. It is a John Carpenter feature. Any one of those three different themes or fandoms per se. Okay, this fits in all three and it's perfect. This is a replica mask from They Live, starring Roddy Piper.
All I'm going to say is I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yep. You got it. The movie, you know, here's the thing. Then the movie, John Carpenter, he has a really interesting way of giving a message about what's going on in society at the time, but without you actually realizing that he's saying something. But but it makes you think about it without you feeling like, man, you don't feel like you saw something political, but it actually stimulates you to think about it. And then, like, you know, I saw that I was, you know, in the 80s, I was a youngling, but my brother still took me to see it. So I love my brothers. I loved it.
Thinking you had some questionable upbringing in that regard.
It is not my fault that mom and dad were in the military, and that my brothers, who were 10 and 12 years older than me, to make sure they weren't going to leave me alone, so they would take me with them.
Well,
so Just saying.
Since I know them, you know that I have already thanked them for your excellent education.
Yes, yes.
And I was, only being sarcastic when I said questionable upbringing. I think you had a great upbringing.
Oh,
sir.
I had an awesome upbringing,
and it's definitely very similar to my own. So
my
I can't complain.
Both my brothers would say, "What other 7-year-old kid, when you ask them, hey, what's your favorite movie of all time?" At the age of 7,
right?
An American Werewolf in London. Why? For the scene where he transforms the first time, where you see the hand go, dude.
Because Rick Baker is a god.
Yes, he is. But just
I have to go there. So you brought up American.
That's fine. Go for it.
We just referenced Rick Baker. Do you know what that makes me think of? Since we're talking about the 80s,
go for it.
Summer School, because I'm Chainsaw, and I'm Dave, and we'll see you at the movies.
Yes.
Had to do it,
dude. He accepted my Facebook. Chainsaw accepted my Facebook friend request. I'm so happy.
Cameron did?
Yes, he did. It was
awesome.
Cool. And I mean, they shows a lot of behind the scenes stuff from Rockula. I don't know if you've seen that. A lot of stuff from Summer School. And he's actually still hangs out with his Summer School cohort. He's a cool guy, man. But no, it's just these movies were so abstract, and that's the the 80s. Wasn't just a decade of horror. I mean, it really did revolutionize pretty much entertainment in general, not just in film, even though you're seeing everything in here is film related, which, real fast. We obviously know who these two are. And if we don't, I'm sorry for you.
I have to question your childhood at that point, because if you did not have Transformers in your childhood, you are missing out, and you need to immediately go rectify that problem and watch the original Transformer series, because it's simply amazing.
And you have to go through the same trauma we went through when Homeboy, well, we know what happened. We know what happened.
Spoilers.
Hey, he had the touch. He had the power.
I can't keep a straight face and do that right now. It's not happening.
You know what? There's a reason for that.
I'm not breaking into song right now.
No,
it's just
we're
not
not.
gonna. You're trying, but it's not going to happen. Right, stop. No, stop.
The touch.
No more.
Come
Spare
on,
us all.
Hold up. Get down with your inner Wahlberg. You got the power.
Now we got to go to the Boogie Nights reference.
Look, I'm sorry.
Fantastic.
I know we're talking 80s, but this is a segue.
Wait, you got your inner Wahlberg. I'm just going to have to be John C. Reilly over
that
here.
works. That works. You can do that. No, dude, like I said, it just cracks me up. I was watching Boogie Nights in the theater, and I'm watching it with my then girlfriend at the time, which was an awkward third date movie to watch, but she wanted to watch it.
I believe it.
Anyway, so we're watching it, dude. So third date, Jose, and suddenly Mark Wahlberg is. This is the reason I remember it so vividly, because one, it was awkward. There was Boogie Nights for a third date, and second, Mark Wahlberg is singing Stan Bush, "You've Got the Touch" from Transformers the movie, and I'm like,
I got to ask you though.
Yes.
You're telling a story, but you know me, because I can't let anything just go unturned here. When you were watching that part of the movie and you recognized it, you knew what you were hearing. Were you looking for Judd Nelson to pop out at any point?
Oh my God. I was just like,
just because that would have been perfect. And
I was
just have him carrying the Matrix. Judd Nelson walking in with the Matrix, because nobody would have gotten it except people like us.
Arise, Rodimus Prime. That's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
All right.
So we have Optimus Prime, speaking of Matrix, with Matrix in his chest. Okay.
Of course.
Megatron, his arch nemesis. And once again, not just cartoons. So we had movies for kids. We have movies for, the horror genre, sci-fi, action, comedy, action, sci-fi. Back to the Future. That's a freaking trifecta. Trinity. It's a trinity of.
A lot of people do refer to Back to the Future as the most perfect movie ever.
It has every possible. It has every possible elements in it. I mean, especially the horror.
You have
getting Frenched by your mother as her younger self. Oh my God, that's psychological damage.
I'm cringing just thinking about that right now. Thank you for putting that imagery in my head. That was terrible of you.
But think about it.
No, you're right. It does have everything. You got action. You've got comedy. You've got drama,
sci-fi,
science fiction. You already brought up the horror, the pain, the torture. It's all there.
The angst. I mean, it touched every possible human emotion you could have.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing in there that I would quote unquote cry about. Well, no, I might cry. I think I was ready to cry when we see Marty after he gets taken by his teenage version of his mom, where she kisses him and she's like, something's not right. And he's like, no shit. He's just like,
It looks like a deer in headlights.
Talk about total trauma. That's where you emotional damage. That's where you throw that in there. Okay,
you have to have something because that was
it's so bad that even she felt how wrong it was from the future. Like, when I kiss you, I feel like I'm kissing my brother, and I'm like, hold up, that begs a question.
You just made it even creepier, man. God, why?
No,
Look, stop it. I just called it.
I just realized.
I just referenced the fact that people refer to it as one of the most perfect movies ever made, and here you are dragging it. Just stop. Just stop.
That's
we
the
don't
horror
need to go.
side.
We're not
okay. And then the awesomeness.
I'm sorry. No. We got to stop because
I've thrown myself off.
We referenced. The 80s were a weird time with that, seemingly, because obviously last episode we talked about Star Wars, which of course referenced Luke and Leia, siblings kissing. And here we are again with a completely different movie from the same time period. And you have family members making out.
I suddenly just want to say
something is not right there.
I suddenly just want to say Snoochie Boochies.
What?
Because
how does Kevin Smith get brought into this?
Not necessarily Kevin Smith, Clerks. The whole Luke and Leia that always gets brought up about them.
Yeah,
and there's the link. But okay, we're gonna move on from that. So we're okay. Back to the Future, great movie. We're going over here. We're coming back here. Now this device here is not. This last piece that's here.
Just so you know, that device is not from the 80s.
No, it is not, but it is the ultimate homage to the 80s. So this device is obviously not the original Nintendo.
It's basically a replica.
It is. But
with an internal storage of games on it that
with 500 games.
Yeah, I forgot you got the good one.
And it's all HD.
As I was saying, that's a replica of what was from the 80s and which absolutely revolutionized home video game systems.
And that's why we have to put that there because
the
here's the thing.
NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh yeah. And let me tell you,
I still remember when I got mine. Look, me and my brother were just like there was no containing us at that point.
Outside, here's the thing about the Nintendo. It revolutionized doesn't even begin to explain what it did to the world. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, changed everything. But one thing many things that I can take my head off specifically to Nintendo. So they're here to represent gaming.
Sure.
But also Nintendo has its own trope. Okay. But for Nintendo, let me tell you something, man. No other system, and specifically NES, no other system could you absolutely rage quit and throw that damn controller because you didn't write the thing down to save the game or you got there. Because remember, back then there was no saves. Now this version has a save for everything, so that's awesome. But back then, your actual original Nintendo, it had to be specific games that either you had to get a passcode,
had to be built into the game,
had to be built in the game,
it was
or
built into
you were just SOL. And most of the case, outside of Link, outside of Legend of Zelda,
right,
and outside of back then, it was called Mike Tyson's Punch Out, not Punch Out.
I don't care who you are. It's still Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Anybody who calls it anything other than that deserves to be slapped.
Exactly.
Seriously. I'm not trying. I'm really not trying to say that, violence is a way to go, but in this case, violence is the way to go. Somebody says it's not Mike Tyson's Punch Out, deserves to be slapped.
Direct the comments to him.
That's okay. I stand by it. I get it. So go ahead, rage at me. I don't mind.
But with Mike Tyson's Punch Out, like I said, with Legend of Zelda, and I can't remember what it is. It was you had to do something, but before you powered it down, it's been that long. You had to hold the cartridge down or something like that to somehow do a save. It was a weird combination of things. With Mike Tyson's Punch Out, it was
on Zelda. The original Legend of Zelda, you actually had a save function built into the game.
But there wasn't there one that to do it, you had to do something with the cartridge.
Not with Zelda, no.
That might be another one. Like I said, there's a few. There were
so many different. To be honest with you, it's been so long since I've actually had to use the original NES system that there were so many different things we had to do. I mean, again, everybody who had it remembers, blowing into the cartridges. Sometimes if the
get a Q-tip with alcohol,
if the springs weren't holding it down properly and locking into place, and the game would load, you had to stick another game on top of it to hold it down.
Sometimes you had to open the system to actually clean the stuff out and whatnot.
It was crazy. I mean, we played the hell out of those things.
But dude, imagine playing.
You would do anything to get your game to work.
And it was also the first, they actually came out with travel cases where I took that thing. Look, I cannot tell you how many times back in that time, I was from Puerto Rico. We came here to Georgia in '85, but we would go to Puerto Rico like for every Christmas and stuff like that, for a while. And ever since I got my Nintendo, that thing went with us on the plane. I believe they actually had an official Nintendo travel case.
I wasn't allowed to ever bring ours anywhere, but
no, we brought ours.
I still look at it as, I know what you're talking about because I definitely had friends that had the travel cases. I was a little jealous of that, but my parents were like, no, you're not bringing that with you. Absolutely not.
I'm
not
not sure.
happening.
Let's put it this way. It's one of those. I'm glad I was able to, but it's like, does that mean I was spoiled? I don't know, because I know I was not the only one. Let's give me that.
I just said you weren't the only one.
Yeah,
Many people did it. Were you spoiled though? Yes, you were.
Yes, I was. But dude, I mean, just think about it. Imagine.
Hey, look, don't complain about the
I'm not
luxuries you've had in life.
I'm not. Look, I had a hard life. No, I didn't. No, I did. I admittedly, no. I'm not even gonna bullshit with that. But no, imagine playing Castlevania or Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest, one of the best video game sequels at the time.
Yeah.
And those did not have a password.
Nope.
So it's one of those, especially
you had to commit all day to playing the thing
and
if you wanted to beat it.
And you had, like I said, you had 3 lives or 5 lives.
Whatever
but the
it was,
issue is
everything changes with that. But
exactly,
unless it was a Konami game, then you had 30 lives because everybody knows that.
Up, down, left, right, right, B. Start anyway. Depending on which, because some games were slightly different. Like it was up, down, instead of up, down, down. But
I don't remember that worked on almost every Konami game.
Yeah.
And,
not Castlevania.
Well, I said
I tried it.
I said I'm sure you did. That's why I said almost every Konami game, because it definitely did not work on that one.
But yeah, I mean, you're right there. You're on your last life, and when he got killed, now you had.
And I can't remember.
You also had a certain amount of continues.
It didn't work on Russian Attack either. That one had a different. That one had a different code you could use. I can't remember what that one was.
Ice hockey.
I remember that.
Where it got to the point you didn't even care about the game. You just wanted to be able to fight, because it would be the stupid thing where it's not really a fight. It was basically all the team would come in, and whoever did the button presses would be like the one who won.
People keep flying out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, you just had a bunch of stuff.
Looked like something out of Bugs Bunny cartoon. Is what it really looked like.
Did you? Speaking of little things like that, going back to Mike Tyson's Punch Out for a second.
Yeah.
Did you know, even though Mike Tyson's Punch Out was a single player game, did you know what you could do with Mario the Ref? With the second controller?
You're talking about speeding up his hand
or slowing it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that with Mario was the ref in the game.
Yep.
The referee. So, but when he's counting, you could have your second controller hooked up, and you would just start hitting the button. He would count fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you would get, the AI or the computer would not realize it, and you'd win. And a lot of times it wouldn't. Or if you were the one that's knocked down,
you could
actually slow it down. It was like
more time to get up. Yeah. All right, that's an exaggerated pause. It was not that long, but
at that point you're like telling your friend, hit the button, hold the button.
Absolutely. You always had to have someone there with you, because you always needed it for something.
Oh yeah,
that was the way that went.
But no. So the NES. So it's not just about movies, but also what we unfortunately I don't have any of my old audio cassettes here. Otherwise, you'd have Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses.
You go on hair bands with the 80s.
Striper.
Why not go with, I don't know, 80s? To me, I mean, yes, the 80s hair bands, as far as rock is concerned, definitely stands out. But I think the thing that the 80s are really known for from a music, the thing that the 80s are really known for from a music standpoint is the pop. You just referenced Madonna, and of course Michael Jackson.
Obviously, yeah. I was going for
we're talking. I'm talking the top of the mountain.
But Michael Jackson,
Debbie Gibson, Tiffany. You had your little teen beat one hit wonders, but
I think we're alone now. No, we're not.
Why do you keep trying to break into song today, man? Look, do you have some secret?
I got one last song. I got one last song.
Do you have a secret desire that you just want to be a singer? Is that what it is?
Oh hell no! I just only in my shower. Only in my shower can I sing, and I'm
glad I don't live here with you. Jesus.
Well, nobody else.
I pity your wife.
I love you too.
That's right. I said it.
That's right. You got look. Hey, me. Anyway, look. No. I'm gonna do one more, and then I'll stop singing.
All right.
Because this one.
Oh God! What are you gonna do?
No.
Right.
It's 80s. No, it is. Hold up. It is 80s. It is 80s. But it's not. It's from a movie.
All right.
Hold up. Can you guess before I go there?
No, but I need to catch my breath because I have a feeling this one's going to hit a little bit different.
Prepare.
All right, I'm ready to go.
I'm going to catch so much shit for this in a second. Hold
on. I'm sure you will. Go ahead.
I have to get my naturally deep voice high. Give me a second.
This is taking too long.
She's your queen.
Oh my God. All right, I quit. I'm walking out. I'm done. It's been nice knowing you. This is done. It's over.
Totally free from infection.
All right, stop. Just stop.
Dude,
no more.
Look, it's coming to to America.
Everybody who was listening just turned off. They're like, we're done. No more.
That's okay. No more singing. No more singing. Can I sing La Bamba? It's in Spanish at least. No, I'm joking. Well, they're 80s though.
Throw something at you. Okay.
Fine. Don't throw it.
No. Look, you need me to rein you in. I'm bringing you back. I'm bringing you back right now. Bring me back. We just covered the whole table except for one, and this is hold on. This is your favorite spot.
It
here.
is,
So this is
because I'm trying not to monopolize it.
You're right. It doesn't matter.
I'll monopolize the shit out of it.
Well, monopolize all you want on this,
go.
because this right now, what we're about to talk about now, this is right in your wheelhouse. This is
yes,
your baby. As he already referenced, he has another podcast called Destination Horror.
Yes.
He is a horror aficionado. So it's only fitting that we have probably the most recognizable horror icon of all time, the Jason mask.
Now, this one, what you're seeing here in red, is actually produced by a friend of ours, Rick Straczynski of 13X Studios, owner and operator. Met him at a Days of the Dead convention 2 years ago. Very cool guy. And he actually is in Terrifier 2. Go watch that. So, but no, met him. He goes to convention, but he also has an online store where he sells nothing but Jason hockey masks. And it's not just a basic hockey mask. This man, this artiste, has actually created replicas of every single variant of the Jason movies. So you have...
It's not just movies.
No, not just movies, no. It started out as just the movies.
Any iteration
graduated,
of Jason.
any iteration of Jason,
So
which I'm going to show you some examples.
Comic books, the whole deal.
He just wants to see it. That's it, guys. So this is what we're going to show you right here. We got a couple examples. NES, right there next to the NES.
You got to tie it
Jason
together.
mask.
Well done.
Exactly. And actually, we'll take it out here. But no, so he actually does this and sets it up and paints it appropriately for as much screen or 8-bit accuracy as possible.
Well, I'm going to say this right now, because right now I'm feeling...
Just take a look at that.
Look, I'm feeling like I need to throw down a gauntlet. You ready?
Right there.
Oh, no. Get ready. Here it comes. You ready?
What you going to do?
You know what's coming, right?
What's coming?
How much is it going to take to get you to wear that for the rest of this?
Which one? Oh, hold on.
You know what? I'll give you the luxury. I don't even care.
So just
Pick
real
one.
fast. Hold on. We'll go there. We'll go there. This one is obviously a replica from one of the later films. I think it was this one's either from 4 or 8.
It looks like 4.
4 or 6.
That looks like 4
because with the blood. So he's actually goes through freeze framing some of these films to catch some of the most iconic moments. Now, this one was nifty because you're gonna have the fans that say, well, hold up, Jason didn't always have the hockey mask.
Nope.
The hockey mask didn't come into part 3, which is very true.
True. And what did he have in the...
What did he had a burlap sack. He had basically a potato sack.
That was it. He did that too.
Yes.
But he did it in hockey mask style.
So
as a
you
burlap
have
sack.
the best of both worlds. I have to take it out because the plastic is going to interfere with this part I want to show you. But look, you've got the one eye hole.
Yeah.
From part 2.
Part 2. Yeah, I'll see.
Because he only had the one eye, the one good eye. But yeah, so that's how it's set up. So you
just for some clarity here, just so you know, I saw those movies out of order. Part 2.
Most people I think did.
Part 2 was the first one I saw, and then I had to go back and watch the first one. But part 2 was the first one I saw, which I think is really weird that sticks out to me like that.
Oh yeah. Now the thing is, the funny thing about that is this. Same thing here. You see, by the time I was getting into horror movies, like I said, I was born in '79. So by the time the first Jason movie came out, I was only barely a year old. It came out in 1980.
Right.
Okay. And then they pretty much came out either every year, every other year for a certain amount of time. Kind of, similar to Nightmare on Elm Street and whatnot.
Right.
Now, the actual first Jason film I saw was in the middle, and it was at night, flipping through channels. We had
that's how I saw part 2.
We had HBO.
It sounds familiar. Okay.
And it was actually the ending of part 4, the final chapter. And the reason I stopped on it had nothing to what made me stop, you already know what I'm going to say. What made me stop was Corey Feldman. I was like, hey, it's mouth.
Again, going to the original, it's Kevin Bacon. I mean,
there's that as well.
But again, you got everything there. I mean,
exactly.
Most people don't even realize some of the people that were in those movies.
I'm here seeing this kid. I know from his other movies, like, hey, it's from Gremlins,
right?
Yeah. And then I see him 1 second, he's cutting his hair. Why is he cutting his hair? So, like I said, I'm coming in at the very end. And then I see the hockey mask get blown off. And then I see him go, die. You have
to act it out when you do it.
Yes,
too.
I do.
It's that pivotal for you.
Yes, it was, man. I felt
obviously this made a big impression on you. How old were you?
I was enamored at that point.
You were 7.
At that point, I was 7 or 8.
7 or 8 years old.
And I'm like, what did I watch?
And that's the impression you got, is I want to be Corey Feldman saying die.
No, I
and
didn't say
smash.
that. I didn't say that. I just said it made an impression. I didn't want to be
Well,
Corey
what we know
Feldman.
now, I know you definitely wouldn't want to be Corey
'Cause-
Feldman, but at the same time, I'm saying, as far as seeing it in a movie, you're like, that's what made the impression.
Yeah.
How cool would that be? I get to be that guy in that movie.
But to your point, so I had no idea what I watched. So I
Sure.
grabbed I grabbed the old TV guide.
TV guide.
For those of you that don't know what that
TV
is,
guide? What is that?
for those of you that don't know what that is,
Why do we always age ourselves? Good God.
Because
I guess
we
should have
do.
known better when we chose this
because we
topic.
do look, because my kids, when I explained what a TV guide was to them, they thought it was so archaic.
Well,
So-
everything for them has been digital.
I know. So a TV guide back then was literally a book, but it wasn't a full size book. A little book you would get at the grocery store where you check out. You have those little magazines, stuff like that. But it's like a small book that was literally what was going to be on TV that week. We didn't have a channel that
Yeah.
had the guide, and it went from the book to a channel that was nothing but that to now you have a just guide button on your that it's a computer system. But yeah, we actually had to look up a book, and the blurb was it was like looking at a book of like newspaper paper.
Yeah.
That quality of paper, okay?
It was.
And
the only other options you had if you didn't go buy a TV guide is if you had to buy like the paper.
yeah.
And I think it was the Sunday paper.
Yep,
I always
that
had
would
that
have what's
week's
going
TV, new TV, what do they call it? TV week or whatever
Yeah,
it was called.
exactly. Yeah.
And again, it was just literally like kind of like you were talking about, some
Yeah.
newspaper paper in there with the TV listings for each channel, what's going to be on from what time to what time.
Exactly.
And then if your paper didn't have the actual TV week thing like that, you actually had to have a newspaper
Oh yeah.
telling you what was on there. It was archaic.
It was.
God, we're old.